Learn to be super successful. Subscribe to my channel, Meathead. Mr. Ventilo or Tilla? Where is he? Okay. Well, I'm going to explain again, so maybe you can get the shit out of your ears. Kevin? Trevor? And Steiner. Your homework's not acceptable. If it's not acceptable by the end of the day, I'll be asking you to leave. Now, you understood what I just said, right? I made it clear last night. You were supposed to comment on all the things I gave you. Not just the 2 written pieces of paper, they were on one sheet, but the backward bicycle, etc., etc. You didn't. At lunchtime, I read these. I just scanned them this morning. I'll read them, and I'll come back after lunch, and I will have other comments for some of you. But if you don't do the homework, you're not staying. It's that simple. Does everybody understand that? Does anybody not understand what I just said? And more is better. Writing more is better. When we're not on film, I'm going to ask each and every one of you to introduce yourself, because I don't want you to embarrass yourself on film forever on YouTube. And say, my name is Joe Bloggs. I'm from Westchester, New York. I got no education. I got no monies. I got no prospect, or whatever your story is. And that, and if you've tried the QLA model before you got here, I tried it and was successful and made $82 jillion, or I tried it and failed, just like most of the people do. Yes, I understand that all the material is free on the website, but I'm a melonhead and I can't absorb it, so I came here. Or words to that effect. This seminar, as I mentioned last night, is changed. It's actually my second attempt at changing it vis-a-vis the Trump transition. And I made some changes to the October, November, December. The hardcore I kept the same. Hardcore has nothing to do with the seminar. And so this is the first full attempt at knowing what I know about Mr. Trump personally. I knew him in a previous lifetime. And knowing what I know vis-a-vis what they've said they're going to do, and what they might do, and what they are pretty sure not going to do. So this seminar has been restructured to take advantage of that. The QLA seminar is not just a seminar. It is a blueprint for creating generational wealth as fast as humanly possible. I teach you how to turn nothing into millions, billions, and even trillions. If you want to take control of your life, to create a legacy that lasts for generations, the time is now. Do not wait for the right moment. The right moment is this moment. Be bold, be selfish, be ruthless, and take no prisoners. I will still do seminars, but I won't be able to do this forever. Act now or not at your own peril. Thank you very much. And as we go deeper into the Trump transition, and he does things or doesn't do things, the seminar will change along the line. But based on the information that I have now, which is pretty good, I think I mentioned to you, my contact at the Pentagon is retired, so I don't have that contact anymore. But I have his underlings, and I have still contacts at the Vatican and a lot of other places that you don't have. But in general, the very little of what we're going to learn here has anything to do with Gaza and Israelis. Because unless you live in Israel, and I don't think any of you lived in Gaza, it really doesn't affect us. Very little of what's going on in Russia, or more importantly, the Ukraine, affects us directly unless you live there. And we have one half-assed Ukrainian in the audience, but he lives in the Americas, so it doesn't really affect him, other than maybe emotionally. The things that you're going to learn starting in about 4 minutes have to do with where there's a rule of law. And the best countries on the planet for a rule of law that you are allowed to do this work are the United States, Canada, the UK, Australia, Germany, the Netherlands. Those are the countries that have the best rules of law. There are many, many other countries of the 130 or 40 countries that there are on the planet that have rules of law, but not like those guys. They have real rules of law. Israel has a rule of law, but unless you're an Israeli and you have an Israeli partner, you're pissing in the wind. So this is devoted to those, especially those 6 or 7 or 8 countries that have real rules of law, where if somebody cheats you, you can take them to court. One of the questions I ask on your questionnaire is, are you currently involved in any litigation? I think only one or two of you are involved in litigation with a former business partner. A couple of you are involved in litigation with an ex-wife or girlfriend or somebody that claims to be your wife. But I'm not so concerned about that. But as I said, I believe last night, or I should have said if I didn't say it, if you're thinking about divorce, now's the time. Not when you made $50 million. That's simple. And one of the success stories, and he's coming back actually for the April seminar that was here, the last seminar, took that advice and got a divorce. And I'm not promoting divorce, but if there was a time, this is it. Unless you want to split up your fortune, which is fine with me. I don't believe in prenuptials, but this is the time. So you'll fight over less. Right now, I say facetiously, tongue-in-cheek, most of you don't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. A couple of you got a few shekels. Shekels is the money they use in Israel. You saw the backward bicycle last night. That is equivalent to my job with you. Impossible. We used to have the bike here. We got rid of it. Oh, shit. Before you got here, Kat, right? So 15 years ago. Because it was such a distraction. Because you all wanted to try. And we've only had one successful ride on that bike in 31 years. Only one. 7-year-old kid who came with his father to pick up their mother, who is a CEO of a big company in Europe. And he saw us sitting there because we used to give the seminar in the castle. And he just got on it and rode it. He started to ride it the right way, and then he realized that didn't work, and so then he rode it. But other than that, nobody's ever ridden it successfully. I've tried, not 1,000 times, that would be an exaggeration, but hundreds of times, and I couldn't ride it. But that's because you have to rewire yourself instantly. And rewiring instantly is impossible, unless you're a kid that doesn't have much wiring to begin with. And that's why, for those of you that started out on the QLA path, the yellow brick road, and have failed, it's because, one, you didn't do it enough times, and or two, you didn't follow the instructions that are on my website. Because 98% of what you're going to hear in the next week is free on my website, 98%. Not all of it, but 98%. And we have had guys that have been very successful doing it free, for them free. And we have had, but no billionaires that I'm aware of. And if somebody had made $1 billion, created $1 billion on his own, or as they say in this country, off his own bat, I'd hear about it. So we have over 50 billionaires, all of which I touched. Like fucking God laid hands on them. But we have guys, several, that have made several $100 million without coming to the seminar. So comments about the backward bicycle from the peanut gallery, please. Yes, sir, in the corner.
What have you found to be the most effective to rewire those type of thought patterns or whatever you
Well, in about 7 slides, I'm going to give you a visual answer. But fear. It's a shitty way to run a railroad. It's a shitty way to run the planet, but fear still is the ultimate teacher. Fear. Years ago, the seminar had fear obstacles or things you had to do, like on a training course, scale the walls of the castle and all kinds of stuff, and swimming across the loch with Pike trying to bite you and shit. I mean, but that didn't work. Other than we had a lot of people go to the infirmary, we still have people going to the infirmary, but it's normally over boxing, okay? And if you feel ill, you get sick, this is not a hospital, it's not a hotel. We don't have a in-house doctor. You tell one of the staff, and they'll call a cab, and they'll take you to the infirmary. Medicine's free here. That's why we're going bankrupt, the country, because medicine's free. But fear, and we'll learn, if you haven't already seen it on my site, fear is nothing more than false expectations appearing real. And the reason why we have so many successful kids, 13 and above, 13 to 18, 19, is because they realize, or if their parents raised them right, that's a boogeyman, that's not real. Okay? Apparently, and I say this to all groups, so it's not specifically meant for you, your parents. Well, the reason why you're here and the reason why you're not more successful is because your parents didn't do a great job at rearing you. That's a matter of fact. And we're going to go through the difference between how most people that come here were raised and a handful that have been raised using the book by Spock or that something similar to where, they're high-performance people. As I said, I don't know, I've said a million times, we're the average of roughly the 5 people we spend the most time with. That's normally a mom, God love her, okay, a older brother and sister, a grandparent, your next door neighbor, and maybe an aunt or an uncle or somebody. Well, what the fuck do those people know about anything about raising high-performance people? Nothing. And this is the product we have. Some of you that had a high-performance dad or a mom or were in a high-performance environment, not all of you, but some of you have made money by osmosis. You've made money by serendipity. The guy that I talked about last night, his family came over here to the U.S. in 1604, okay? He's wealthy. 450 years. When he came to the United States in 1604, there wasn't much. So if they had half a fucking brain, they accomplished something. And now, but most of you in this room, there's one exception that can trace his lineage back to 835 or something. He's sitting right in front of me. But his family didn't have the gumption or the wherewithal like the 1604 guy, because the 1604 guy's got a ton of money, and the 835 guy is sitting right here. Okay, so but the backward bicycle, it's almost impossible to reprogram you if you're old. We have 3 or 4 of you that are in your middle 50s, but the oldest we've reprogrammed here, or as I say, we flipped to the dark side, meaning money, is 77. The youngest is 13. 13. And the teenagers, 13, 14, 15-year-olds, they don't know this is hard. And that's hard to believe. But I've been doing it long enough, and I've got enough of 13, 14, and 15-year-olds to tell you they think this is a piece of cake. When our 12-year-old daughter went through the program 26 years ago, 26 years ago, and it was in that, behind this wall, a seminar, she said, "Daddy, this is easy peasy." We used to give a written test. We don't do that anymore, because the written test has no correlation whatsoever. In fact, it has a reverse correlation to whether you can do it in the real world. Reverse. We gave it. Our daughter got, I think, 96 or 98 on her written test. We've had people get 100 back when we did the written test. They don't do it anymore. back in the day, we had people get 100 on the written test and fail miserably when they got out in the real world. Because we have two bank accounts in life. We have an emotional bank account, we have a financial bank account. This program is 100% devoted to your emotional bank account. Can you pull the motherfucking trigger? Can you put a cap in their ass, as they say where I come from in the hood? Can you take your brother out? Can you take your father out? Can you take your mother out? I'm not hot on taking mothers out, but I have. And most of you can't. Some of the webinars you're going to see during the coming days are, they only had one problem, their family. That's a big problem. If you've got 105 employees and there 80 of them are family, that's hard. You know, that's the reverse bicycle on steroids. And slowly but surely, the people that had those families, Anelli's one of the guys, the black guy from South Africa, had a lot of relatives, and he decided rather than blow them all out, he just walked away from the business. He had a successful business. Did, I don't know, $50 million a year, something like that, in dollar terms. He just walked away and gave the key to his fourth cousin or whatever, who the fuck he gave it to, and just walked away. And now he's a billionaire. 7 years ago. And you're going to get the model that he uses, which is slightly different than my model. And the only difference is his model is harder. We give it to you, though, on the thumb drive. We give you how he's changed a couple of the, not speeches, scripts to be harder. Mine are fucking hard, but I mean, his are harder. And he's building a conglomerate in South Africa. Some of you will ask during the week, and I will answer as things come up. Well, you know, you got 4 or 5 people building conglomerates. The king of those is a guy named Manelli, short black guy. He's 43 now, I guess, 44. And if you follow my social media, you saw that Sally and I met him in Dubai 3 or 4 months ago. And he was there celebrating a closing, where he closed a fund. The fund was supposed to be $100 million, but he only got $80 million. And those of you that have dealt with private equity or venture capital or that form of debt, sometimes equity, you realize that right now the Hamas supposedly is negotiating at the close. It's supposed to be releasing 3 people this afternoon. Well, they haven't got the list of the names of the 33 yet. And for those of you that know anything about negotiation, and none of you know a fucking thing, I shit more brains than you have this morning. The negotiation starts after the paperwork is signed, and you've made a press release, and you're all committed. Then, that's when the hardcore negotiation begins. And that's exactly what Hamas is doing now. So if you're Netanyahu, don't answer me, just hypothetically. You're Netanyahu, who's arguably a hard bastard. I don't know him. I know people that know him. And 4 o'clock, or whenever it's supposed to happen this afternoon, and you don't have the list yet. You don't have the list of the 33, let alone the 3. What do? I just listened to a moving head on CNN, which doesn't always give you bad information, but quite often it does. They think that he's in a corner now. That's the wrong word to use with a guy like Netanyahu. He's in a corner now. He's being forced to release 1,500 Palestinians for a list he hasn't got yet, and the 3 people on that list he hasn't got yet. What would you do? And you're going to have similar decisions when you're building a dream team. You're going to hear from a gazillion people, the most important person in your life is your chairman. Some of you are going to try to make your chairman your mentor, your asshole buddy, blah, 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 okay? but everybody's going to say the same thing. And a few of the cases that we're going to show you where there were mutinies. Good thing about the 2024, we had a few mutinies. In other words, the board tried to take the business away from you. And that's always, well, it's fun for me because I like to see how you guys react. And you all cunted out. Every one of my guys cunted out. Made the wrong decision at the wrong time for the wrong reason. Every swinging dick or saggy pair of tits made the wrong decision. Every fucking one of them. And I trained these cunts. Because you have built up a dream team. CEO, I suggest that none of you be the CEO. There may be one exception in the room. And you got your big accounting firm. You got your big law firm. You've warmed up big banks. And when they mutiny, you think, well, fuck, if I fight them, I'm probably going to lose all those people, which is true. So do you acquiesce to the pressure? Or do you fight? Now, a lot of you say, I'll fight. Well, fuck you. You're not going to fight because you're a cunt. Because you were raised like a vagina flapping vagina. You're not going to fight. You're going to call Kim crying. And Kim's going to say, is Mr. So-and-so on the phone? I says, give me his file. Tell him to call back later. And then I look at your file. Did you do the homework right? How often were you late to class? Did you ask stupid questions? Everybody falls into that category. Did you ask stupid questions? Did he dress right? Did he cause my staff any headaches? Was he an arrogant prick? And most of you don't pass, so I say, I'm busy, I can't take the call. Now what do? Other than grab yourself by the sacks if you got them, or by the nipples if you got those. You panic. And you do the wrong thing. And you won't remember what I'm saying right now. You won't remember it. You remember it because you've been here before. But you take a written test, easy peasy. Okay. The emails that went back and forth between a young man, 14 years old, and myself. And I do get thousands, as he remarked. I don't always respond, but that one I decided to respond because he covered the main points that make you successful in life, not just in QLA. Okay? A great deal of my success is based on my military background. Second is on my high-performance superstar father, assassin, killer for the CIA. I have experience that you can't even dream about, and a nightmare. Any comments about those emails that went back and forth? What would you have written to the kid, if anything? Most of you wouldn't have even answered the kid. Yes, sir.
Yeah, waiting for the perfect time is just an excuse.
Correct.
You begin and learn as you go.
This is the ultimate on-the-job training with one caveat. You have successful models to follow. But any model that I give you isn't you exactly. There will be no model that is exactly like you in the exact industry, exact timing, interest rates, et cetera, et cetera. So you wait. As you're going to hear Viking Bitch 1 say, that we filmed her a few months ago, there are people that she went to the hardcore with in December 2018 that have still not got a chairman. Josh Kim, one of my more successful kids, started when he was 17, went through 23 board members. 3 chairmen, 3 CEOs, blah, 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 blah. 23. Okay, YouTube.